Happy Thursday, March 4th, everyone. Hunter here again at Weather on the Go. And in today's weather forecast, we'll be looking at some heavy, wet snowfall falling across the Northeast with several inches as we go through the end of this week, as well as a new storm that will bring heavy rain and snow west to east across the United States into next week. And it also could bring another significant severe weather outbreak early next week. We'll be diving into the details in today's weather forecast. If you are new here to Weather on the Go, make sure you do subscribe to the channel down below for detailed, accurate weather forecast throughout the year. Also, be sure to press the like button down below, the thumbs up button. It helps out more than you know. So let's here look at the mid-level water vapor imagery this morning on your Thursday, April 4th. And you can see here we have a dry slot moving across the southeast all the way up here towards the northeast coast, and that is our cold front that did move through, bringing us days of significant severe weather across the eastern United States. Thankfully, recovering from that today. We do see some colder air advection though on the northern side of the system. You can see the system's come ahead across portions of the Great Lakes into portions of the Ohio Valley, bringing colder air, but also the colder air supporting snowfall. So you see here today across the eastern U.S., we have some heavier snow breaking out across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, into upstate New York and parts of Massachusetts here. Some of that snowfall continuing back even further west into the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the mid-Atlantic states today as well. As we go into tonight, that will quickly drift further to the east, so we'll start to see us drying out back here into Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, the Ohio Valley, just seeing a few flurries or sprinkles as we go into tonight. As we go into Friday, more snow continues across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York. Some lighter snow, though, compared to today on your Friday. And then going into Friday night, still some lingering snow showers across New England and the Northeast. Will be wrapping up the accumulating snow across those areas for Friday night. Let's look at our additional snowfall accumulations across this region, because more significant snow and heavy wet snow this will be through your Saturday morning commute here. This goes through Saturday, April 6th, and another foot or so of snow will be on the way for Maine, up here into Vermont, New Hampshire, into portions there of upstate New York. So definitely be watching out for that. And if you do shovel this heavy wet snow, take breaks. It is heavy, it is wet, it is moisture laden, so it will be tough to remove. So make sure you're taking breaks out there while shoveling. Now, looking at our temperatures going through the next couple of days into the weekend, colder air will hang around across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast in the wake of this system today. We have some return flow, so some spring-like temperatures all the way up here into Montana and the western Dakotas as we go through the day today. That will slowly drift eastward, so we'll have more of the Great Plains with seeing those spring-like temperatures on Friday. Meanwhile, we're still dealing with the effects of that system's cold air across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast on your Friday. But finally, by Saturday, we'll start to improve our temperatures across the upper Midwest. The Great Lakes region will warm up a little bit for Saturday and Sunday as well, so we'll start to see more warmer temperatures, but with the true spring-like temperatures still staying across the south central U.S. into the southeastern U.S. this upcoming weekend. Let's look at our new storm system making inroads to the west coast here today. We have some heavier snow in the higher elevations of the Pacific Northwest today, the Cascades, the Sierras, and just the Rockies in general out here, Montana into Idaho, Washington State, Oregon, Nevada, and Northern California likely being the recipients to that heavier snow in the higher elevations today. Coastal rains will continue across California as we go from today into your Friday, so watching out from Los Angeles up the coast there into Central California for some heavier rainfall going through the next 24 to 48 hours. And here's some of the rainfall totals we can see from the system. Not overly organized, but we do see some amounts over an inch here across coastal California up there, especially into central coastal California. We'll keep an eye on that through your Saturday time frame. Very heavy snows, though, over the next 48 hours across portions of the west. We're seeing the Rockies, the Cascades, but the Sierras getting a couple of feet feet of snow here as we go to the start of the weekend on your Saturday, April 6th. They're definitely shoveling out across those areas. Now that same trough out west will be eventually making its way east here. So we have a trough out east here later in the week, a trough out west with a ridge in between with those spring-like temperatures. And again, what goes up must come down. And again, we have the ridge, so we have temperatures warming. Here comes that trough. It's going to be ejecting across the Great Plains vicinity as we go into the weekend, Saturday the 6th into Sunday the 7th. And that is going to set up more of a Great Plains severe weather setup with the dry line on Saturday. Here's your dew point temperatures. Very dry air behind that dry line on Saturday. I mean, we're talking single digits above or even below 0 dew points Fahrenheit here back into Colorado. New Mexico is significant drought. That's going to help here into the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, and western Kansas. Just very dry air out here. But ahead of that dry line, dew points sneaking up there into eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, maybe even as far north as eastern Nebraska into the 50s, and that will be just enough to spark some instability out there. These are your CAPE levels, convective available potential energy, and that will be rising to around 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram locally across the region, with the highest values likely across northern Kansas and into central and eastern Nebraska. And this does lead the way to a marginal risk of severe weather for your Saturday, April 6th for portions of North Platte over here into the Hastings region, perhaps as far east as Omaha, and then further south there into eastern Kansas. We're talking Kansas City, Topeka, down to the Wichita region, and then extending south from there into Oklahoma, the Oklahoma City, Norman area, and then up into Tulsa again for a level 1 out of 5, a marginal risk of severe weather. All modes of severe weather will be in play: damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. And speaking of the tornado threat on Saturday, while we don't have a lot of CAPE or instability, we have a very stout mid-level jet here. It's going to be negatively tilted here on the base of this trough. Very formidable low-level jet. So this is a more of a high shear, low CAPE environment on Saturday, and sometimes these environments are more conducive than tornadoes than the other way around, where we have a high CAPE, low shear environment. So something to keep an eye on here as we go into Saturday. Looking at general timing right now, Saturday morning, while we can't rule out a few showers or storms, really pretty quiet for your Saturday morning here. It's really the afternoon. Now we're going to actually peel this dry air, like we're going to literally peel it like a can away from, again, the instability there, and we're really going to start to explode those thunderstorms Saturday afternoon into Nebraska there, down into Kansas, and then eventually working down the dry line, just kind of peeling that can, getting all that instability to rise in the atmosphere, and we're going to start to see more supercells into Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas into Saturday evening. And again, all modes of severe weather, large hail, damaging winds, and a few tornadoes will be possible. Now we're not done. As we go into early next week, while that trough will eject and weaken up here in the upper Midwest, we got a secondary trough that will strengthen here right behind it on its heels across portions of Southern California, Arizona, and maybe even as far south as northwestern Mexico early next week, and that will start to move east. But this trough is going to be a little bit more diffuse, which means it's going to be slower moving into next week, which is going to hang around and produce a lot of heavy rain, but days and days of severe weather into next week. So let's look at your dew point temperatures for your Sunday, April 7th timeframe to end the weekend. So that first trough is going to dry us out here after Saturday across the Great Plains. We do have some dew points in the lower Mississippi Valley. I would not be shocked to see maybe an isolated strong or severe storm down here in coastal Texas, Louisiana, up into western Mississippi, but the threat for that is actually quite low. As we go into Monday, here's the return flow. The Gulf of Mexico at our disposal here. It's open, and we're seeing those dew points right back into the 60s there into North Texas, East Texas, and over here into the lower Mississippi Valley. And then Tuesday, we have much more of those 60-degree dew points moving inland, even further north across the Red River here into Oklahoma, into Arkansas, Arkansas, maybe even southern Missouri, seeing those 60-degree dew points on your Tuesday, the April 9th time frame. And looking at Monday's instability, now this is going to be a stronger instability reservoir than we see on Saturday by far. We're talking around 1,000 to as much as 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability, that moderate to strong instability there on Monday, and more extreme instability to work with potentially in central Texas as we go into Tuesday night time frame with instability up to around 4,000 joules per kilogram. So with that in place, we do have a slight risk for severe weather both Monday and Tuesday. So the Monday threat here is across north and northeast Texas. This does include the Dallas-Fort Worth area down to Waco, eastward toward Tyler here, and then into the Shreveport region, into Little Rock area, Texarkana, all those areas as well. And that does extend up even into southeastern Oklahoma on Monday. And I promise you, this is a different graphic, but this is on Tuesday. This is the next day. We have two back-to-back days of slight risks of severe weather in basically the same areas here. Again, the Dallas-Fort Worth area down to Waco, maybe a little further south on Tuesday toward Austin and Houston, over there to Shreveport, Texarkana again, and then over toward the Lake Charles region, Monroe, Alexandria. A lot of the same areas there on Tuesday will be affected with that slight risk as on Monday. And let's look at the timing generally here. Speaking for Monday, as we see it right now, the Monday during the daytime frame, generally pretty quiet. I think it's Monday night, unfortunately, after dark, where we'll start to see more severe weather become more numerous across the Red River vicinity into the lower Mississippi Valley here, and this could be tornadic. So we'll keep an eye on that for Monday night. As we go into Tuesday, we could have an ongoing MCS, mesoscale convective system, widespread damaging wind potential here across the DFW Metroplex, waking up for your Tuesday morning commute right through midday. So this is something to watch there if you do live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That MCS will slowly drift east toward Shreveport and into East Texas, into Tyler, Texas, as we get toward Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, bringing the threat for widespread damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes along the way here. A stronger instability reservoir on Tuesday does lead me to think the Tuesday threat is the highest out of the 2 days there, Monday and on Tuesday. Now, speaking of Monday, for the total solar eclipse forecast here, looking at the cloud cover right now, not looking great for Texas. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you are trying to view the solar eclipse from Texas, it's probably just not going to happen on Monday. If you're viewing it from Oklahoma or Arkansas or even southern Missouri, probably not going to happen there as well. The best chance to see the total solar eclipse on Monday, April 8th around midday will actually be the far northeast United States. Up here into Maine is your best bet, but even Vermont, New Hampshire, or northwestern Massachusetts. So that's your best bet to see the total solar eclipse as we go into that Monday time frame. And the system's just going to continue to bring rounds of showers and storms, heavy rain, severe weather as we go into Wednesday. Thursday, it moves just a little bit further to the east. And then finally by Friday, it enters into the southeast. And again, all of these days, we could have severe weather highlights across this region. The Storm Prediction Center, though, is not confident enough to highlight Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday quite yet. But I do promise you there could be enough energy down here for severe weather with those dew points rising, the instability rising, and enough wind shear for that across Dixie Alley and the southeast. We'll have to keep an eye on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time frame. Now, rainfall amounts going to be plentiful, folks. We're going to get a lot of rain down here to the south across the Gulf Coast states from East Texas all the way through Louisiana, southern Arkansas, into the Mississippi region, into Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, stretching over the Carolinas. Widespread rainfall amounts, 2 to 4 plus inches. There could be areas here from the Dallas-Fort Worth area through Shreveport, getting into the Pine Bluffs, Arkansas region, and perhaps up here toward Greenville, that could get actually more than 6 inches worth of rain through next Friday on the 12th of April. And looking at snowfall prospects, you have to go out west to the mountain ranges out there, to the Rockies, the Cascades, the Sierras, or even into southwestern Canada up there toward Vancouver. Otherwise, the Northeast getting that snowstorm here over the next few days. Otherwise, again, it's April. typical. We're not getting as much snow in the United States and southern Canada. More of these rainfall events will be occurring. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you do like these detailed, accurate weather forecasts, consider subscribing to Weather on the Go below. Turn on all notifications, as we will likely be going live throughout the week to break down the severe weather threats through early next week's events into the Texas vicinity. And also be sure to like the video down below if you do like today's weather forecast. I definitely appreciate it. Have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody.